Hi, I'm Graham Steele, CEO and founder of CryptoSense, and today I'm going to talk about data center cryptography takeout. So what does that mean? So a data center takeout is where I carry out a large-scale migration of my enterprise's IT to the cloud. So instead of just adopting a couple of applications, putting those in the cloud, I'm actually going to look at a physical data center and decide that I don't want to have that anymore. I don't want to manage it. I want to get everything out of there and get all of that running in a cloud data center instead. So at CryptoSense, we're getting more and more inquiries from our customers and prospects who are interested in doing this, basically for two reasons. So one is resilience. So I'm trying to organize my company so that I have less need to send physical people to do physical things in a data center that belongs to me. And the other is scalability. So to be able to deal with huge changes in the demand for particular applications that I might have as part of the way that I deliver my business value. So cloud's typically very good at that, and it's very tough to do that with my own data centers. So that's on top of all the other reasons why I might be thinking about moving to the cloud anyway. This is the reason we're chiefly seeing from people saying that they want to go further and they actually just want to get rid of some of their data centers and get all of that stuff running in the cloud. So that's a data center takeout. What's a data center cryptography takeout? Well, if I'm going to move all of the applications in my data center and I handle sensitive data, so that's going to involve things like my customers' details, business critical information, anything that could be life critical, for example. Well, I know that in my cloud version, I'm definitely going to need cryptography. So it might be that in my existing data center, I'm already using cryptography, and perhaps I'm already using cryptographic hardware. So things called hardware security modules, or HSMs, that are managing my cryptographic keys and controlling the encryption of the most sensitive data that I have in my applications. So they're sitting there in my current data center. Somehow I'm going to need to find a way to access the same kind of service in the cloud where I can't put my own hardware. And typically everybody's cryptography is a little bit different. So the problem for me is, how do I find a way to unplug from those physical HSMs in my data center and plug into something that gives me the same or a better level of security in whatever cloud or multi-cloud environment that I'm going to be moving to. The second problem is that in my own data center, I maybe wasn't using encryption on certain parts of my data. So perhaps data in transit inside my own data center, or even some data at rest in my databases. Perhaps I wasn't encrypting that in the past, that wasn't part of my policy. But now I'm moving to the cloud where I'm sharing a data center with, who knows, other customers of my cloud service provider. I'm definitely going to want to use encryption in a much more widespread way. So on all of my data at rest, typically even on data that's going between particular processes. So I need to adopt some cloud encryption services that my CSP is offering, and I need to do that right. So I need to make sure that my developers and whoever it is helping me doing this migration is going to follow the right rules for the key management and for the use of encryption that I want them to follow, to make sure that the final version of these applications that we're going to put into the cloud is actually secure and compliant with the regulations that I have to operate in. So this is a little challenge, but it can be very significant in the whole problem of moving an entire data center to the cloud. Because these HSMs, these old boxes, the legacy equipment for doing encryption, these are like an anchor holding back the whole migration project. And somehow I need to find a way to cut the chain to this old way of doing encryption and adopt these new services in the cloud from my CSP or maybe from a third party in a way that's secure. So fortunately at CryptoSense we have some tools that can make this job a lot easier. So the first thing we can do is give you observability, so visibility on the cryptography that you're currently using at scale across your data center. We have a suite of tools for cryptographic discovery and inventory. We can even put part of our tooling between your applications as they talk to those hardware security modules to discover exactly what calls they're making. So this might be from some proprietary software or from some old legacy software. It's very hard to understand what it's doing now. We can see all of those calls, and our analysis and output can help you figure out which of these commands you'll be able to access when you move to the cloud or to a new third-party HSM provider. We can actually help you get that migration fixed, patch that application without rewriting it so that it'll work in the new environment that you need it to work in. So that's how we can help you cut that anchor chain, get those applications out and cleanly and securely into the new environment where you want them to operate. Secondly, you need to adopt some new cryptography services typically, and these may be unfamiliar. They may be based on APIs provided by your cloud service provider, or you may be using software crypto with keys backed by some third-party crypto provider. Whatever it is, you're going to want to control the way that those new services are used. So cloud, there's a misconception that cloud is somehow less secure than on-prem, but most seasoned IT professionals know that the cryptography services offered by cloud crypto providers are just as good as what you can get on-prem, possibly even better. There's a whole lot of people focusing on those problems and making these things really good. So the problem isn't that the cloud cryptography services are somehow bad, but like any cloud service, you need to use them in the right way. That's the responsibility of the customer in the shared responsibility security module, to configure and get those things right in order to use them in a secure way. And it's when that doesn't happen that we typically get these cloud security breaches that we hear about. So with our tooling, you're able to choose the right policy that you want for the use of those cloud services in terms of their encryption and their key management and what data is treated, and then ensure that that policy is followed in your applications. So both as they're developed and as they're deployed into production, you can actually control that using CryptoSense technology. Make sure you don't get any of these mistakes in the application that you deploy. So over the next week, we're going to be posting some video demos here on this YouTube channel of how exactly those technologies work and how to use them to get your data center cryptography takeout project going. And if you need more information right now, there'll be some links down right under the video. Otherwise, hit subscribe to make sure you get the updates. And I look forward to hearing about your project.